Mr. Hobson looks very pensive, doesn't
Yeah, it does. I've got 6 o'clock if you'd like to start it, Mr. Lynn.
What's that?
It's 6 o'clock.
Yeah, okay. All righty. I'd like to welcome you all out to our EVIT Governing Board meeting tonight. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Hart has agreed to lead that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty, wanted to point out we're excusing Mr. Watkins and Mrs. Boggs tonight. They will not be able to be with us. Mr. Covington has agreed to serve as the acting board clerk for tonight's meeting. So that brings us to item 3, which is presentations and recognitions. Dr. Wilson, who's up?
Thank you very much, Mr. President, members of the Governing Board. Our first presentation is one that's very unique to us, and I'm very grateful that we have the opportunity to present it to you. This week is National School Choice Week, and this year EVIT has the honor of being one of the featured schools in the National School Choice Week video. EVIT was selected because we are considered a school of choice in Arizona, and every year we celebrate school choice on our many social media platforms. The organizers of National School Choice Week came here in December to film footage for the video and to interview students and teachers. They also requested that an EVIT student serve as the host of this year's national kickoff video. At this time, I'd like to introduce main campus principal, Mr. Daniel Fisher, and he'll introduce the student who is the narrator for the school choice video. Mr. Fisher?
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Thank you for giving us this opportunity today, School Board. I'd like to celebrate Vanessa Ruiz, who we'll be calling Nessa from here on out, because that's what she prefers. Nessa is a senior here at EVIT. She also attends Desert Ridge High School. Here at EVIT, she's in our culinary program. Specifically, she's in the commercial baking program with Scott Meyer. During her time in this program, not only is she a great student, but she helps us do tours. She's a student ambassador for EVIT. So she really has gone all out and bought in 100% EVIT, which is really great. We appreciate that, Nessa. Nessa is also being celebrated, as Dr. Wilson said, because she was chosen to be the host of the School Choice Week video, which is it's a big honor for us because we're proud of the fact that we're a school of choice here at EVIT, and to be selected to be in that video and have Nessa lead that better. On top of that, Nessa has also been accepted to the Culinary Institute of New York at Monroe College. She actually won a trip to go and visit there last year and is competing in a competition they have called America's Top High School Pastry Chef. So we'll be rooting for you on that. Outside of that, she also competes in the CCAP, which is an after-school program like FBLA, HOSA, and some of those others, but it's for culinary specific. And this year she's working on a project that will hopefully lead to some scholarship money for her to take off to that college experience. And then, this is a long list. Nessa, you do a lot. In addition to that, and Mr. Fleetham, I believe that this hits home for you, she also works at Essence Bakery in the Arcadia district in Phoenix. So next time you're in the area, stop in and grab some pastries. Nessa, can I invite you up here?
I would just like to say thank you for being recognized. EVIT's definitely played a big part in my life. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's definitely been amazing here. And if you told me that I'm doing what I'm doing like a few years ago, I would not believe you. But yeah, thank you.
I'd like to take a minute, and can we show a bit of the video that is being shown now nationally that highlights school choice and the work that Nessa did on the narration of it?
Hey there, I'm Andrew Campanella, President of National School Choice Week, and it is officially National School Choice Week 2022, and I cannot wait to celebrate this week with each and every one of you. But I will not be your host for this year's official kickoff video, because this year, more than ever before, we need to keep the focus of school choice on the people whose lives and dreams it benefits, and that is the children, the students in this great country. So today, I'm turning over my hosting duties to an incredible student at an incredible school. Vanessa Ruiz attends East Valley Institute of Technology in Arizona, and she will be your host for this, the official kickoff of National School Choice Week 2022. Take it away, Vanessa.
Thank you, Andrew, and hi everyone, welcome. We are so happy you're here with us. I'm Vanessa Ruiz, but you may call me Nessa, from the beautiful state of Arizona. I'm in 12th grade and a proud high school student of commercial baking here at EVIT. In addition to that, I'm so excited to be the host of National School Choice Week kickoff video. Now let's get started with National School Choice Week of 2022. Woohoo! Pretty awesome. The students you just saw were also talented students of EVIT. One thing last year taught us is that there's more than one way to celebrate School Choice Week. In 2021, tens of thousands of School Choice Week celebrations were successful and virtual. And now in 2022, we are slowly and safely returning to in-person School Choice Week events. We're also having several large virtual events. Our celebrations will be happening all over the nation. Students across the country will tell their stories of the schools at student showcases. Families will celebrate school choice in their state capitals. Thousands of schools will open their doors physically and virtually to local families at open houses. Throughout our week, there's something for everyone, because everyone is welcome to join the biggest celebration of education in the country. Education matters because it helps us make sense of the world. It gives us the tools to explore and develop our talents. And it is the foundation that sets us closer to fulfilling our dreams. At National School Choice Week, we celebrate all school options available: traditional public schools, public charter schools, public magnet schools, online learning, private schools, and homeschooling. We celebrate all the options equally because we know that children are unique and deserve the chance to thrive in the environment that best fits their needs. Through the last 2 years, education has been in national and local headlines. We've even experienced different education environments. Many families have learned on a first-hand basis that one type of education doesn't fit all. We've seen that students, even within the same families, have different needs and different learning styles. We have heard it all, but during this School Choice Week 2022, I am filled with hope because this week is an opportunity to stop talking about our differences and instead embrace our unique needs. Acknowledge that high-quality education comes in different types of schools and unite from what matters the most: children. I am also feeling hopeful because even though the last 2 years have been a true challenge, we've seen parents taking a lead role in their child's education like never before. During this week, more than any other week of the year, parents began their search for a school for their children. And parents who would have found their ideal school for their children spread the word on social media to help parents who haven't found it yet. Think about it. Every search, every post, every conversation has the potential to bring a child closer to a better future. That's pretty rad if you ask me.
And why I love EVIT is because I love being here, I love actually doing my program, I love being able to actually have a career out of high school and actually be ready for college and my future endeavors.
I knew I wanted to be a baker since I was about 4 years old. When I graduated from EVIT, I planned to attend the Culinary Institute of New York at Monroe College, where I've already been accepted to earn an associate's degree in pastry arts and a bachelor's degree in hospitality management. I am so grateful that my family, friends, teachers, and chefs supported my dreams and helped me find my way to EVIT, my school choice, where I'm developing the skills that get me closer to my goal. At school, my favorite place to be is definitely the kitchen. I love the energy there is in any given task. My hope is that students find a school that inspires them as much as my school inspires me. The future belongs to us, and us students want a foundation for a successful future. And you know who plays a huge role in giving us that foundation? Yup, teachers. Great teachers are role models and have the power to challenge us and inspire us to become a stronger version of ourselves. Almost everyone has a story to tell about a teacher that has had an impact in their lives. For me, it was Chef Armour Black and Chef Scott Meyer. They always knew my potential and inspired me to become the student I am today, and helped me prep for competitions to win scholarships for college. Now let's put the spotlight on some teachers that celebrate this week.
I love School Choice Week.
I love School Choice Week.
I love School Choice Week.
If you're ready to use your voice as a part of the biggest school choice conversation in the nation, then find School Choice Week on any social media that you have. We need you to keep the celebration going all week long. Share your unique voice and story because your story has the power to inspire and make a positive difference. Today and this week, let's partner with millions of Americans across every corner of the nation, talking about education on social media, searching for school choice options, sharing School Choice Week resources with families that might need them, and uniting the nation for one idea, to put kids first through school choice. Now let's celebrate.
Do it again.
So quiet. I moved again.
Okay, so the teacher asks the student, "Student, why did you eat your homework?" And the student responds with, "Teacher, you said it was a piece of cake."
Whoa. School Choice Week. No dancing.
All right.
Vanessa Ruiz, future pastry chef.
Very nice.
Bravo.
So a couple things with this. Obviously, this is a national campaign, and we're very honored that we were selected to be part of the video that kickstarts the national campaign. For Nessa to be the spokesperson, not only for EVIT, but for the school choice movement across the country, I think is a really powerful statement. This video was put live today, and over 7,000 views have already been had on it. And so the idea of not only celebrating school choice, and we at EVIT have always said that we're school of choice, I think is a powerful message, but also Nessa and her ability to celebrate us is very much appreciated. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. President, members of the Governing Board, we also once a month take the opportunity to celebrate the most important.
Dr. Wilson,
Oh,
we
yes.
normally ask the questions.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, yeah, I have one.
Knock yourselves out,
So,
yeah.
I'd like to ask,
Yeah,
I have a
let's
question.
Get the party started. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for the whole time, because I had this question
And I
from the
just went
get-go. I'm so glad that Mr. Fisher mentioned that you worked at Essence Bakery. Can I work that into my intermittent fasting routine between 12 and 6?
I would say
So
yes.
I will be
would
there.
do it.
By the way, awesome. Because I wanted to know where you were going to work after you left, and I found out you're at Essence, which is
Yeah.
an awesome place anyway. So you're all welcome to come to my neighborhood.
You guys
Really?
should come. It's
And
awesome.
oh yeah, it is. It's pretty cool. So, good luck.
Thank you so
Congratulations,
much. Thank you.
Nessa. That's awesome.
Nessa, is there anyone here with you tonight, or
No, it's just me.
just you?
Just me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you
That's
did.
awesome, you're taking that on. How do you feel about
Thank you.
moving from Arizona to New York for a little while?
It's crazy. Like, I wouldn't have never thought that I would do some things like that because none of my family has really gone to college. But I was like, I want to be different. Like, and EVIT's definitely played a big part of that. But yeah, I was just like, I want to be different. Like, my mom was like, "You're not going anywhere." I was like, no, I am. I was like, actually? But no, yeah, I definitely am one to go against, like, the rules, I guess you could say. But no, it's crazy over there. It's really crazy over there. But I enjoyed it, and the chef that I had met there, like, he's the dean of the college. We clicked like automatically, and he was just like super welcoming, and he emails me like almost every month till this day, like asking me how I'm doing. So I'm really excited to go out there. But yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you very much. Anyone else have anything?
I hope you come back when you're done.
I will come back to visit, I promise.
Yeah,
my whole family's gonna be here.
Bring us some.
Yes, bring you some goodies. Thank you guys again.
Thank you, Nessa, very much. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Any other questions? Okay.
No, you-
Okay, sorry.
Sorry about that.
Every single month, we take the opportunity to celebrate the most important assets in the organization, the reason why we come to work, and that's our students. And we take the opportunity to celebrate students from both main campus and Power Road. And I'd like to start off tonight's celebration by asking our Power Road campus principal, Mr. John Casaro, to come up and introduce his students and staff for this month. Mr. Casaro?
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Thank you, governing board members. Thank you, family and friends in attendance. So we had 2 students of the month this month. One of them was not able to make it today. So I'm just going to read to you what her instructor said about her. So she is Ashlyn Tucker. Ashlyn Tucker is a student at Queen Creek High School. She's in our 2nd year of cosmetology. She was nominated by Mr. George Rexroad, one of our cosmetology instructors. Mr. Rexroad wrote, Ashlyn Tucker is an exceptional student in many ways. Her attendance is perfect, never late, and follows all directions well. She is one that goes over and above all assignments that are given and has accumulated the maximum amount of hours so far that are available in cosmetology. She is a delight to have in class, and I would love to have many more exactly like her. In addition, she gets along well with all of her other students daily, and she's always willing to learn more. She is a model student, in my opinion. So that was Ashlyn Tucker. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it here today. Next, I would like to introduce Miss Jennifer Schwartz, and she's going to talk about her student, Miss Jordan Davis.
Good evening. Who was that? Okay. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to come and introduce my student today. As you know, every month we are challenged with nominating a student of the month, and every month I look at my class roster and I try to determine who would be the best student to fit that bill. The student that I nominated for this month is not only an exceptional student in the classroom, but like my previous students in the past, they need to do something above and beyond to kind of stand out for that recognition, because it seems as if every year I am blessed with better and better and better students, which makes this even more difficult. So thank you, administration, teachers, parents, for just being awesome with your students, because every year they just seem to be better. So as I mentioned, in addition to what Jordan has done in the classroom and being a great student, she's also done so much outside of the classroom to set herself up for success. So I had to have a list because of everything that she's done. So I'm just going to read off some of those things. Over the summer, she attended a marine mammal camp through Texas A&M University. She completed a summer internship at Dolphinaris Aquarium. She currently works at Sea Life Aquarium. Over the summer, she also completed an internship at Seville Veterinary Hospital, and after that internship, she was hired on and is currently working there. She volunteered at Arizona Animal Rescue. She has represented EVIT at some of our breakfast and counselor luncheons. She is a member of the Hobie Leadership Club. She's also a co-captain for Color Guard at her home school, and she attended the Bill Humbert Leadership Camp. In addition to that, she's a HOSA member, and she attended the Flex Conference. That is a volunteer option for students. It's not required to go, but she did give up her time to attend that. Last year, as well as this year, she did complete regionally in veterinary science. I have no doubt that Jordan is going to continue just striving to be the best that she can be, and we will be absolutely proud to call her an alumni, and I can't wait to see what she does in the future. So thank you for allowing me to honor Jordan Davis.
Oh, a little too short. Thank you, Ms. Schwartz. I really want to thank Ms. Schwartz and my first year teacher, and of course our administration. They've really pushed me to better myself and figure out what I really want to do after high school, and now that I have a set plan, I can really thank them for that.
So question for you, tell us a little bit about your home high school. Is?
So I go to Williamsfield.
Okay.
So down in Gilbert, a little bit further.
How did you hear about EVIT?
So my best friend actually did the vet program a year before I did.
Oh, okay.
I always wanted to do something with animals, but once I heard that she was in the program, I thought it would be a really good idea for me to try it out.
Very good. And then what are your plans after high school?
So after I graduate, I got accepted into San Diego State University. So I'm going there to get my bachelor's in marine biology, and then from there I'll go to grad school to get my doctorate degree.
Very good. Good for you.
Awesome.
Do you have family that's here with you?
Yes,
or?
I do. I have them. I don't want to point all them out.
Yes. Well, Mom and Dad, we'd like to take a moment to thank you all too, because it's a pleasure to work with the children that we serve. And the fact that she's as successful as she is a tribute to our teachers and faculty and staff for sure, but also a tribute to quality parenting. So thank you very much. Very much appreciate it. Governing board members, questions?
Congratulations, Jordan.
Thank
That
you.
sounds cool. So what do you tell your friends about EVIT? I know that you had a friend that was here that told you about it. What do you tell
Yeah.
your friends about it when they ask you?
So when my friends kind of ask me what I do, I'll tell them, we take a lot of notes and we're learning criteria, but we're also being able to learn how to do that hands-on, so doing labs and stuff, kind of a lot. So it's a lot to explain, but it's a good education, like, base, but I really like the hands-on part, like doing labs and being able to actually try this stuff before I go into the veterinary field. So.
That's right. There's something about being able to see
Yeah.
what you're doing rather than just reading it straight out of a book. That's awesome stuff. So good luck in your career.
Thank you.
Why marine biology?
Ooh. So when I was younger, I kind of always fell in love with the ocean and kind of the animals in it. That's a little weird because we live in Arizona, but it's just something that I've always wanted to do. And, we take family trips out to California, and it's one of my biggest interests. But I really want to specialize with aquatics and doing rescue and rehabilitation, just kind of helping more animals rather than just dogs and cats.
Cool.
Very good.
Really cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Before I ask Mr. Fisher from the main campus to come up, do you have another one?
No, that's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks. I thought you had another. Good looking at whoa. Before I ask Mr. Fisher to come up from the main campus, I was reminded, the governing board members, if we could please speak into the microphones, because when we do the minutes, it makes it more difficult as we try to transcribe them. So our second group of students of the month comes from our main campus, and I'd like to ask Mr. Fisher to come to the microphone.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Thanks again for the opportunity to be up here, board. Originally, we had 3 students to bring up and celebrate tonight, but unfortunately, as the season's doing to a lot of us, 2 of those dropped off today for other reasons. So we'd still like to read through all of them, and 2 out of our 3 have instructors here that'll share their piece. To begin, I'd like to celebrate Mr. Michael Osborne. He's in our collision repair program. Sorry, it's a little too close. He's in our collision repair program, and he was actually suggested by one of our recruiters, Coach Howland. Michael has been a tremendous representative of the EVIT brand and the collision repair program. As an adult ed student, he fulfills the role of student ambassador for the program. He has spoken with several small groups of students during the multiple campus tours. His passion, genuine love for the EVIT's collision repair program speaks volumes to students considering enrolling in this course. I've personally seen Michael speak. This quick aside, he is convincing. He's just a natural salesperson, so it's so great to see that skill coupled with what he's developing in collision repair. Michael works hard every day. After his morning class at EVIT, he goes directly to work at Caliber Collision. He was placed by EVIT into that position, which makes it even better. His instructor, Mr. Lopez, shared with me that this is a difficult industry, and even though Michael gets tired, he is here and he gives it his all every day. For always being respectful, selfless, and an amazing team player, consistently being engaging and giving his best effort, it is Mr. Howland's honor to nominate Michael Osborne as EVIT Student of the Month for our adult ed programs. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Jack Berg up from our banking and finance program to celebrate one of his students.
Thank you for having me. I'm here today to represent one of my students, Michelle George. She's a senior at Chandler High School, has excelled in honors there, as well as working part-time and coming to EVIT. So she's obviously very busy. And in the next 2 weeks, she'll start her externship at First Credit Union, where my students will go and shadow those individuals to learn more about banking and finance. Also, one of the areas that inspires her is the fact that she likes to compete on a financial basis. We recently participated in 2 major organizations here in the state. They are ACE, ACEE, which is the Arizona Council for Economic Education, and the other one is FBLA, which is Future Business Leaders of America. Through the ACE competition, over 250 students across the state of Arizona were participating in this program, and they all competed on an online basis, and Michelle got the highest score. So it was a great representation. So with that said, Michelle is pursuing her ideas and wanting to go to college. She's also very active in the RISE program here at EVIT and hoping to pursue finance and personal finance as well as accounting, both at ASU and or through the junior college route, whichever works for her. But she is actively pursuing all that. Can't be here tonight, as I said, because of her work schedule, and hopefully we'll get her back here sometime soon. Questions?
Thank you very much. Very much appreciate that. Thank you.
So although we had a few cancellations, I promise not to let you down. For this next student of the month, I'm going to bring up 2 different teachers. I'm going to bring up Mr. Bernasic from our diesel program and Mr. John Lindstrom from our automotive program to celebrate our next student of the month. And gentlemen, if you don't mind me giving a piece before you start, the student that we're going to celebrate here, I thought it was so great to see him get nominated today, because I was in Mr. Lindstrom's class earlier this year doing the observation of his instructional teaching. And during that time, this student made a large impact on me. And at the end of the day, I actually walked up to Mr. Lindstrom and I said, "Hey, that kid over there, what's his name? I need to know it because I'm going to say it a lot." And I said, "That kid's going somewhere." And then I'll let them carry it forward from here. But this young man has made an impression, I think, on almost everybody who's an employee here at EVIT who's had the opportunity to work with him.
Governing Board, thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce to you my newest student. When Tanner came into my class right after the new year, and Mr. Lindstrom came to me and said, "I have a student that wants to jump ship from auto and go into diesel." I said, "Right now? You know, we're already at the end of a semester." I said, "That's a little bit too late." And he said, "Well, Tanner really has excelled. I'm almost boring him in my program, and he's gotten all his Ford ACE lessons complete." Like, really? For that to happen, that takes a lot of time. That takes a seasoned technician a long time to accomplish, let alone a student that has had half a semester, or a full semester at EVIT, being a first year. So with that, I said, well, if he is all what you say he is, sure, I think we would be holding him back if we didn't keep moving him forward. So since I've had Tanner in my class and putting him into a group of students, I've really noticed a change with those students where they are more punctual with getting their work done, turning in assignments more on time. So, I mean, he is just a great asset to the school, my program, the automotive program, not just for the school, but for his peers as well, to help them, be successful in the program as well. I'm ecstatic to have him under my roof, and I've already talked to him about career opportunities with a municipality to help further his career along. But I'm just so happy to have him. Phenomenal young man. Mom, you did a great job. So thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Bernasic, thank you, Board, for allowing me to be here tonight, too. And Mr. Tanner was a true pleasure to walk into class, but he was a challenge, too. And I said, okay. But then all of a sudden he wanted to know. He just wanted to know, wants to know. And all of a sudden I'm getting emails from him with videos from 1936, how to better understand differentials, manual transmissions, gearboxes. And I'm saying, well, Tanner, would you like to teach the class? Or what is it you're after? But so he did that, and it's a great environment to be a part of, because Tanner was seeking to excel. One of the other things he did serve as a host for the foundation breakfast. He's punctual, all the things that Mr. Bernasic said he did for me. And he's going, well, why would you get rid of him, because I didn't want to hold him back. And he's an exceptional student. He was a leader there. He did all those things, and we didn't want to squander anything. On top of that, he passed. He came to me and he says, I want to learn about diesel. And I says, okay, automotive, diesel, some of them are very same. An electron's an electron, hydraulic pressure's hydraulic pressure, brakes are brakes, things like that, a few different things. And I said, Tanner, here's the deal. If you pass some of your ASE certification tests and you get done, I'll go and fight that battle for you. Next thing I know, he passed all 8 ASE student certifications that I required of him, and then he did 2 more on his own. So that's the kind of student he is. And he did it, so I was very happy that we could be a part of an organization that truly does let students excel, spread their wings, fly, and have an opportunity to succeed. So again, Tanner, I miss you every day coming into class, but I am so happy that we had the opportunity to let you live out and seek your dreams. So, thank you.
Thank you guys very much for all that. It was very nice. First and foremost, I would like to thank my teachers. I'm just now, it's been a couple weeks since the semester started, I'm just now really getting to know Mr. Bernasek. But I think him and I have a pretty decent relationship at this point, and already he's done a lot to propel my career forward. I mean, just on Monday of last week, I believe, or Friday, I believe, he brought to me an opportunity, me and a couple other students, an opportunity with the town of Tempe, an internship that we'll be receiving more information for this week. And he's really taught me so much just since joining. It's a very diverse group of students that we have, and it's interesting to mix in with people that I wasn't able to before due to moving over. And I thought that it might be hard to catch up on certain things, but he offered me all the tools that I needed to catch up on the places where I was behind because I switched from a different class. And I'd also really like to thank Mr. Lindstrom. He taught me the entire first semester, and I learned an incredible amount from him. He's an amazing teacher. And him and I produced a very in-depth relationship over that first semester. And it was interesting to watch how I grew myself through that program. I came in very willing to learn, but at the same time I was very... Someone just fell from the desk, sorry. I don't know what that was. I was reserved in many ways. It was a new thing to enter this type of program, and he brought me into it with very open arms and taught me a lot about it. And so I'm very thankful to be here today, and I'm very thankful to be recognized. It means a lot to be able to be here and be recognized in this way by the board.
So tell us your home high school. What's your home high school?
I go to Basha High School,
okay.
Down in Chandler.
Mm-hmm. And what are your plans post high school? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm currently only in year 1, so post high school I'll be continuing with the Diesel 2 program next year. And after that, it's really looking for opportunities in the workforce itself. Because due to this program, they give you opportunities to enter the workforce directly out of EVIT. So that's what I'm looking forward to after next year.
Very good. How did you hear about EVIT?
Well, I was always interested in this type of stuff, but coming into this year, I told my mom actually that I wanted to find a way to work more hands-on with vehicles. And I knew that they had a shop program at Chandler High School, but at my home school, Basha, we don't have any sort of shop or automotive program. And so my mom actually brought up to me, she's a teacher at Basha, she brought up that EVIT existed. I didn't know previously, and that's how I got into it. And I learned about the program, and I did some research myself, and I said, oh, that sounds very interesting. So we went ahead and signed me up, and here I am.
Very good. So Mom, so thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to work with your son. We know, and you know as an educator, that we do a lot of really good, but actually the good's done at home before the children get there. And so thank you very much for the work that you did with your son. Governing board members, questions?
Yeah, I've got not only that, I know a couple associations would love to talk to you once you're graduated. Rock Products and the Mining Association, they would love to spend some time with you, my friend. So congratulations on everything you've done. You picked a terrific career path. Diesel mechanics, whether it's four-wheel, 10-wheel, whatever, all that kind of stuff it's a career that is, it's a marvelous career. You can make a great living out of it, so that's terrific. We'll make sure we send some folks over here to hunt you down, so.
I look forward to speaking with them.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Tanner, introduce who you're here with tonight. Let us recognize them.
Oh, I'm here with my mother, sitting there. I think she's recording me. And then my girlfriend is there with me. Sadly, my dad wasn't able to make it. He had to take my sister to an after-school function. So.
Okay. So
Congratulations.
So you're a junior this year?
I'm a senior in high
You're a
school.
senior, so you're going to come back on year 13 then? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Tanner.
Thank you guys.
So, Mr. President, members of the governing board, before we move off this topic, I say this periodically, but I am always impressed when we have students that come to us, and I don't think that there are many high schools that you have in which you'll have an individual that wants to be that's in our diesel mechanic, that you have, and the range of students that we service and the opportunities that are had here is just phenomenal. And so sometimes it's easy to get lost in it because I live it every single day. But when you see this, I think it really does speak to the fact that at EVIT we truly change lives. And that's an amazing place to be. So with that, Mr. President, we are done with presentations and recognitions.
All right, thank you. It moves us into item 4, the minutes. I think we need to do them separately at this point, so I'll entertain a motion for minutes of the organizational meeting held on January 10th, 2022. So I need a motion.
Also move.
I'll second that.
All right, discussion, Ms. Luke?
Yes, I found earlier there was a typo in the minutes that we pointed out. The section,
Item 3B.
item 3B. So I think we've already pointed that out, and I think that'll be corrected.
Okay, any other comments? So, Mr. Cleetham, perhaps you want to restate your motion to include correction of item 3B?
Sure.
Or Mr. Covington, I'm sorry about that.
I will make the motion that we correct the spelling error, or whatever it is, and of the January 10th meeting.
Thank you. Second?
From Jeffrey.
I will second that.
All right.
Okay, call for the vote.
Yes, Mr. Covington, would you like to conduct the vote?
Yes, sir. Mr. Fleetum.
Aye.
Mr. Lane.
Aye.
Ms. Luke.
Aye.
Mr. Hart.
Aye.
Mr. Hobson.
Aye.
And Mr. Covington says aye. Passed.
Just so everybody's wondering, the error we pointed out was it states that we're nominating Shelley Boggs as board president for 2022 rather than board clerk.
Okay.
So let's go on to the minutes of the regular meeting held the same day.
I'll move we approve them.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any comments from anyone or questions?
Yeah, and 10B, the adjourn is seconded by Mrs. Doolin, who really seconded.
Yeah, that's probably not the correct thing there.
I know. I looked at that, go, wait a second, ex-board member.
Well, let's say probably, in all probability, it's probably Mrs. Boggs.
Right.
Okay, that's right. Well, with that correction,
I move that we approve the minutes with that stated correction.
I'll second.
All right, any other comments? Mr. Covington, would you conduct the vote, please?
Mr. Fleetum,
Aye.
Mr. Lane,
Aye.
Ms. Luke,
Aye.
Mr. Hart,
Aye.
Mr. Hobson,
Aye.
and Mr. Covington says aye.
Okay, that brings us to consent agenda. We're going to consider all these things as a group.
I believe, Mr. President, we have item 5, which there are
Oh,
none.
we do.
Yeah.
So I overlooked that, got a cart in front of the horse. Call to the public. Do we have anyone here that is
No, sir.
asked to speak? Okay. Now we've crossed that bridge.
There we go. It was, I know.
Thank you. We want to keep us straight here. We can consider all the items A through I unless there's a board member or the member of the public which would like to withdraw that item for further discussion. Does anyone have anything you'd like to pull from that? So then I'd like to entertain a motion for the consent agenda items A through I.
I would like to move that we combine item A through I in the consent agenda for approval.
I'll second.
Okay, any comments or questions? Okay, Mr. Covington, would you conduct the vote, please?
Mr. Fleetum?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Ms. Luke?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. Hobson?
Aye.
And Covington says aye, except I abstain from part F because I hope some other people want to go to the Region 5 Leadership Conference with me. I don't want to go by myself. I'd rather have some other
That's,
people.
what, like in 2 weeks, or when is it?
It's in April, no, it's in April. April. In South Dakota.
All right,
There's information in it, in your packet if you want to
all
read
right,
that.
I'll look at that. Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay.
I lost my place here in just a second.
Item
There.
7, personnel.
Yeah, personnel, thank you. 7A, that's all there is. Okay, that brings us to personnel agenda. We have a motion.
I move that we approve item 7, personnel.
Like that.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Is there anything you want
No, there's nothing.
administration wants to bring forward? Okay. Hearing no further input, Mr. Covington, would you conduct the vote, please?
As you wish. Mr. Fleetum?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Ms. Luke?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. Hobson?
Aye.
And Mr. Covington says aye.
Okay, the next item is discussion item, information discussion. Make sure, yeah, item 8. First one is life cycle analysis. And it looks like Dr. Wilson, that's you and some help from someone else.
Lots of help, yes, sir. Mr. President, members of the governing board, just as a reminder, we're on track to complete the expansion, this current phase of expansion out at the Power Road to be open in August with both buildings. We expect to take occupancy of the building, the aviation building by the end of this month, and then the vet building and engineering building by August. As we were going through that process, we also began the discussion as an organization of what does that mean for this campus, because as many of you know, this campus really hasn't had much done to it in quite a long period of time. Also, the possibility of needing to go back out to Power Road campus again with a further expansion because our CTED is growing far more in the southeast section than any place else in the valley. But one of the things that we also said we wanted to be mindful of is that before we go do a third expansion out of Power, we wanted to make sure that we take care of the needs that exist on this campus. And one of the things that we didn't have a firm handle on is the life cycle analysis. To be honest with you, I didn't even know what that was. But it turns out it's actually something that we desperately needed. And I wish that I would have known what it was years ago, because this is actually a great tool for us in terms of not only budgeting but also planning. And what we did is we contracted out with the vendor to come and essentially give us an analysis of the life cycle of our facilities so that we can begin planning both short-term, long-term, and we can have the revenue and resources available to not only do the work that needs to be done here, but potentially then know the revenue and resources we have available should you as a governing board want to expand to a third building out at the Power Road campus. And so I'm going to ask Neil to come up, who has kind of helped, the architect who's helped kind of shepherd us through this process, and he will walk you through a very abbreviated version of the life cycle analysis so you can see the good work that was done, and also we'll have information that we bring back to you in further meetings to begin talking about what some of our planning and budgeting needs are going to be, not only on this campus, but also future expansion at Power. So, Neil, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson, Mr. President, board members. Thank you for the opportunity to talk tonight. I'm part of the help. We're here to kind of give an update on the life cycle analysis. I believe last month my colleague Don Brubaker came here to give you kind of an update on how the progress is going. So between that time last month and now, we have done some diligent work walking the campuses, taking an assessment of all the facilities, the interior, the exterior, also combing through as-built drawings to kind of start to input that data into an Excel worksheet that is a live update that can be currently use cost analysis based on the current market analysis of cost plus the square footages and the amountable area of the different finishes. So we take all that, we put that into an assessment, and we use an expert with Allison Suriano, who's with FMG, to actually create that workbook. It is a tangible asset that you'll have at the end of this process. It'll both be in hard form and also in digital form that continually be updated throughout the years. And so that if you do a renovation in one area, or if you replace a mechanical unit in the other area, you can update that live on the life cycle analysis, and it'll give you a forecast of what future monies you want to spend. Dr. Wilson mentioned that before we can move forward with improvements on the main campus, this is a life cycle of your existing conditions. So before we even want to say, hey, we want to improve that area, we want to know what asset value you have for your current campus. We know it's been built over 20 some odd years ago, and it hasn't been all through a lot of updates since then. So this identified those areas where you need to spend some money. So we looked at exterior, the walls, the paint, the finishes of the building. We looked at the roof. We looked at the grounds, the maintenance, the asphalt, the concrete, those areas. We looked at the mechanical systems, the stuff above the ceilings, the electrical systems and the plumbing systems, as well as a carpet finishes, paint in the different areas. And this, which Allison will present here shortly, gives you a quick update on what that total amount can be and projects it over 5 years, 10-year forecasts to kind of see when something's going to come up on a different building. And how many total buildings are there, Allison? I think, yeah, 15 or so, 15, 16. So it does a deep dive on each one of those buildings. So Allison, if you want to come up and share.
Hopefully my screen share will work. Thank you for having me here this evening. This is a lot of data, but I do want to show you the depth of the data we've collected for you. And also, fun fact, I worked for BPLW Architects in the early 90s, so I was an intern architect when we started this project. So I will tell you that this is the original carpet. Okay, so you've gotten your money's worth out of your carpet. What we did was we took, you can see here on the screen, every one of your floor plans and had them digitized if they weren't already. We put them in a program called On-Screen Takeoff and did a full inventory of every single item, floor, ceiling, floor base, carpet, paint. So you have this by room, by building for every single facility on this campus. Exterior roofs, mechanical, as Neil said. So then let's see if this next thing will show up. Let me stop sharing. Share screen. We put this into our Excel database. So you're going to have one of these spreadsheets for every single one of your buildings. So this is building 1, which is the biggest building. And you don't gasp yet at the numbers. Everything, this is all based on every item has a life cycle. Every item also has a price. So what we've done this for probably 30 school districts in the state of Arizona, and we work with every contractor in the state of Arizona. We've developed a live base of costs for everything we've run into. So this is what everything draws from. Then every single room, as you can see here, is sortable by item. Let's try something that you guys might recognize. Let's do carpet, shall we? Carpet. We'll do flooring. So you're going to know by every single room what kind of flooring is in every single room, how much square footage, what that unit cost would be to replace that today, and what percentage of remaining life that we've assigned it by walking every single one of your buildings and assessing them. So for example, this room's the carpet, we assessed it as being 0. So our spreadsheet goes out and tells you in 15 years with an escalation of costs when it would need to be replaced again. So we do that also for the exterior paint, for the roof, and for every single mechanical unit, which is listed in here individually by name and model number. And then it rolls up into a summary. So for building 1, just because the building is so old and everything has reached its life cycle, at the end of its life cycle, it shows what is essentially a backlog, the things that you need to replace right now. If you don't fix or repair or replace those things, that number is just going to roll over from year to year. So, you know, that's a big number, but this is an older facility, and this is what I would expect to see. So you have a spreadsheet like this for every single one of your buildings, and it can be changed and updated year by year. I'm going to do share screen, and I'm going to show really briefly. As you all know, there's been a lot of escalation in costs, and I have gone in and updated the exterior paint cost. So that kind of made these numbers get a little scary, but you can see when you look at the outside of your buildings, they really all do need to have some kind of coating or sealant or paint that protects what's inside. It keeps the water from getting inside. You know, your number one problems are going to be your air conditioning, your exterior paint, and your roofs. Your roofs are pretty good. We can do some maintenance on them and stretch that out. But right now, if you were to ask me what your number one thing to do was, it would be to get the exteriors waterproofed with a new coat of a new higher level paint coating, and start a regular program, which you probably already have with your air conditioning units, to keep cycling them out.
Do you have the summary? You can show
Yeah. So I have a summary both like this, with the total number for the first 5 years, what we're projecting, and the next 5 years after that. And then my, let me stop share and do another one for you. I have one that rolls up all the buildings into this graph. If you don't mind, let me find that for you. It's a lot of data, so these spreadsheets are a little big. Roll up. Let me share my screen again. Here we go. And this is the roll up for all the sites. So you can see in the first year is mostly interiors, carpet, paint, if you hover over one of these bars, and mechanical. This is campus-wide, all of your buildings all combined. It's actually slightly higher than this because I've edited the exterior paint number. It's right around 16 million right now. And this is a lot of data, like I said, so if you have any questions, I'm here to.
Mr. Lane?
I have a couple questions now. The pricing, or the forecast of pricing, is that numbers that have been vetted by an actual contractor who would do the work, or is that just kind of an estimate from your work experience?
So one of the things I do is manage projects for school districts all over the state. So like I'm currently working on the Maricopa High School. So I have current data from the contractors I work with and for. And I have worked as a contractor myself. So we update these as we see the numbers coming in our projects, or on an annual basis, we sit down with the contractors. It's a little hard right now, but what we've done to kind of compensate for that is we've added a 5% escalation to every year. So every year this goes out in the spreadsheet, every one of those numbers is escalated by 5%.
So actually, this is an estimate, it's not a hard bid, correct?
Correct.
So I understand the life cycle thing. I'm kind of involved in construction a lot. So we would, of course, we can't make any decision looking at a spreadsheet on a screen. So those kind of things we would probably have to prioritize one way over another. So just so everybody's aware, I want to make sure, and it's used a lot of times, painting on a building doesn't waterproof. Paint is not waterproof.
That's why I upped
It
the
helps
cost.
mitigate, it helps mitigate water, it helps mitigate water intrusion. So, I mean, no, I'm not, you know that, but a lot of people don't know it. They think it waterproofs, so it doesn't, so.
And Neil and I do a lot of projects throughout the state together, and the specifications that they're using now are incorporating more waterproofing materials, so we
Right.
can get a 10-year
Right.
warranty.
You still can't float a boat with it, so.
Amen.
So I think the thing that's beneficial about it is, and to your point, Mr. Fleetham, obviously, I know these are vetted, but we'd go out for a hard bid, and so there would be a process that we would go through. I think, to me, the thing that is important, and this is something that the organization didn't have, is for us to really begin getting our hands around what is the liability we have here in terms of financial obligation, because not much has been done. No disrespect, but I mean, it really hasn't, and we laugh about it, but honestly, this carpet's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that this is the carpet that we have in a good portion of our organization. So if we're going to begin starting to protect the assets that our taxpayers built, then this is a step towards that, really getting our hands around what that cost is. And I think for Edith, one of the things that's really beneficial is now she can begin forecasting a budget not only that meets the needs as we have identified this year, but start building capacity for the next 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, so that we have a handle then ultimately on what is the obligation we have here financially. It's not going to be this. I mean, through bidding, it may go down. If we decide to wait for 3 years, the escalation may go up. But this begins to give us an idea of the cost associated, not only to protect this asset, but at some point in time, we're not done expanding. And so what does that need to look like too, and what's the revenue for that? So to both your points, these aren't fixed hard numbers. This is just the beginning of a process that I think allows us to get our hands around and head around something, which we don't have.
It's what we talked to Joey and some others before earlier on, that this kind of project or forecast or a preventative maintenance plan mitigates further damage. You know, if you don't take care of your roof on a regular basis, when it finally does leak, it's going to be catastrophic, vice versa. So something like this needs an ongoing, almost a living preventative maintenance program. I think you mentioned that, where it can be updated on a regular basis. We can prioritize it as a board from seeing what we see. You know, you got a leaky roof, then you got drywall, then you got carpet, then you got mold remediation, you got all these other things going on. So thank you for your work on that.
Well, and from our perspective too, I mean, from the main campus, not only do we need to agree the preventative maintenance, but we know that some of the structure of the facility, some of the way the classrooms are organized, some of the space utilization that was maybe beneficial 20 years ago isn't beneficial now. You walk into building 1 and there's a ton of space there that's probably underutilized because of the way it was constructed. So if we decide that we want to do some remodeling, we better know what's in there already, because we don't want to necessarily repair whatever. I don't know what that might be, but repair whatever, and only to go back in there 6 months later and tear it down because we're reconfiguring the space. So this not only gives us a preventative maintenance, but it also begins giving us an idea of, as we begin to remodel the facility, what do we have to be attuned to and take care of, and what do we not have to, because when we're doing the remodel, that space is going to change significantly. We're not going to need some of those assets any longer. So to me, this gives us a very good jumping off spot, both for preventative, but also for actually remodeling the main campus.
Absolutely. I spent a whole lifetime in renovating things, so that's kind of where your preventative maintenance kind of helps those kind of decisions where you go. But like you mentioned, moving a wall that needs to be done, that to repurpose space that's underutilized or not proper is necessary for something like this, rather than tearing down a whole building to build another building when we can move some walls, which really makes sense.
So we will come back again with this further discussion unless there are other questions tonight. But the idea behind it will be is that we're going to begin presenting to you a preventative maintenance schedule, as well as then begin a discussion about remodeling part of the campus here to facilitate more conducive learning environments. And this is the beginning of it. Okay?
So you mentioned that's just for the main building 1. That doesn't.
That's all 15, 16 buildings.
All buildings?
All buildings.
Okay, because you mentioned building 1.
There's 2 different. She had one where all the buildings were rolled up, and she had one just for buildings.
So what are the last group of numbers? What is that? That's $16 million.
All buildings.
Is that
That's
for,
all the buildings. So
that's to
there's a
bring them
separate-
up to date with or preventative maintenance and,
Yes.
For the correct me if I'm wrong, Neil, that 16 million is what life cycle analysis over the next 5 years would forecast.
it was 16 and then another 4 or 5 million for the next 5 years.
So, yeah.
It's 21 million then.
Over 10.
Over 10, but in theory, we don't need to necessarily do the 10 years, right? So, I mean, we can, but to begin chunking it out in terms of saying, you know, we're gonna, out of the 16 over the next 5 years, maybe we wanna tackle the next 3 years pretty proactively, and that's to a tune of 6 million, you know?
Yeah, your exterior stuff, but I think we need to have some big discussions about what's going to go on inside the buildings
Correct.
before we spend anything
Absolutely.
inside. You know, the
Absolutely.
paint and the roof, yeah, they're not going to change much, if at all, but.
No, we're absolutely gonna come back to you.
Do you get into flooring and?
Space
walls?
utilization and configuration,
Yeah,
absolutely.
well, HVAC and plumbing and all that. We need to have a pretty good idea what the configuration's gonna be 10
Correct.
years out before we spend anything on it.
Correct. And that's, from our perspective, that's the next phase. There's the preventative outside maintenance, but also now a discussion internally of how do we want to grow in terms of space utilization? And what programs are we forecasting that are going to absolutely be needed? And do we have some programs that potentially are going to be sunsetted simply because the industry is changing? Those kind of discussions will shape, in my opinion, recommendations back to the governing board on not only how we grow in terms of the physical space, but also what we arc out in terms of the preventative maintenance, because some of that might not be needed if we're going to change the space.
Exactly. All right, thank you.
I have a quick question. In the forecast that you have presented, does it take into account the rapid inflation and the supply chain issues and those kinds of things? And time-wise, we are talking about 5 to 10 years. Like, I've got home projects that have been in the works for a year, and we're not even done with those yet. So can you address that for a moment?
So, yeah, and I think we have a couple contractors maybe in the audience too. It's hard to have a crystal ball these days. It's fluid out there right now. So yes, there has been a 5% escalation factor applied to each number that she's applied into each year. So it's compounding 5% each year on top of that as a forecast.
So we're assuming that things will continue to.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, so obviously we're being conservative in that approach, at least know that, hey, at some point it may plateau or calm down, but we can't predict that. So we need to stay conservative so that when you do get 10 years out, at least those numbers could be anticipated of what that could happen.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then, next item is the COE update. Mrs. Doolin? Okay.
I'm going to apologize, board president and members of the board. I hurt my back and that chair hurts. So that's why you see me standing in the back. COE is going well. We have gotten all the findings out to the appropriate faculty members and also the directors, and everybody's worked diligently to make the deadlines. We are putting the final touches on what we need to submit. That submission will go back to COE February 1st, and then it will go to their March meeting. We're hopeful that the majority of the findings will be satisfied. We're confident that we'll have a couple that will come back to us, and that's basically because of the strategic plan. The strategic plan needs to be in place for us to implement it, to relieve some of those findings. So some of those won't be relieved probably till later, the following meeting that happens in June. So we anticipate most of it being taken care of by March, and possibly having to go back to COE in June for those last pieces that we have to have the strategic plan in place for.
Ms. Doolin, can I
Yes.
ask a question for some of those people that are listening to this live meeting? Could you let everybody know what a COE is?
So it's our accreditor for our adult education. They came out and did a survey, looked at how, we had accreditation, I believe, for 5 years, and we were going for another 5. And we had some findings that we needed to resolve in order to get that updated accreditation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And that will be addressed with your strategic plan. Those will be addressed.
To be honest with you, there was quite a few findings. So I think we're at 900 pages or so that's being submitted to COE, because the way they want the documentation is for us to answer each question and put the documentation, even if it's the same documentation that will relieve 3 or 4 items, we have to put it in the document 3 or 4 times. So it's a rather large, tedious document. We believe most of the things will be resolved. There's just a couple we don't think can be resolved until we actually institute the strategic plan that was just developed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions for me? Okay, I'm gonna go back to the hard seats. They're easier.
Drag one of these other chairs over there. Okay, next action items we have is policy revision second read. Mr. Kelbo, would you like to give a little overview of what we're about to vote on?
Sure, Mr. Lane, board members. Policy GCCG is our medical leave assistance program where employees donate some of their sick leave time to a medical leave bank. And then when we have employees who don't have enough sick leave, they can withdraw. The policy said that you could only withdraw in 1-day increments, but a lot of our needs are in less than 1-day increments. If they have like ongoing physical therapy or something, they want to be able to do it in hour increments, which is more consistent with the requirements of reasonable accommodations under the ADA, intermittent leave under the FMLA, and our other sick leave policy, which does require you to be sick the whole day if you only need to go to the doctor for an hour. So that's the only change in the policy. We're changing it from 1-day increment withdrawals to 1 hour increment withdrawals.
Okay.
Ready for the vote?
The second
There's no
read,
vote.
so we do need to vote this. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
And then the second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions? Mr. Covington, would you conduct the vote, please?
Mr. Fleetum?
Aye.
Ms. Luke?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. Hobson?
Aye.
And Mr. Covington says aye.
Okay.
Mr. President, I have a question on an item that I have a page here that maybe we missed it, or the emergency procurement.
I believe, was that part of the consent?
That was part
That
of
was
the
part of the
consent
consent?
agenda.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. I didn't have it stuck with that group, so.
You missed your time.
Is that all resolved now?
Yeah. That is, yes.
Okay.
No.
Is there an opportunity to ask a question about it, even though we've already passed that? Can I do that now?
I
So-
think that's proper.
Okay, I'm just, when we have an emergency like this, and I understand there's rules and things to go through, but waiting about 2 weeks to mitigate an emergency repair seems a little problematic. And the fact that, because I think if I read all of this, there were some serious materials questions and things like that that needed to be taken care of, and some, that part of the reason why it was an emergency is because we got to hit a repair so it wasn't further damage, but waiting 2 weeks to get a board approval doesn't seem like that makes a whole lot of sense to me.
So I'm correct me if I'm wrong. I probably gonna be wrong. We didn't wait the 2 weeks, so we did the emergency repair under Mojave contract, and then came back retroactively for you to approve it.
Thank you.
Sort of.
Kinda.
Just to expand on that, we did do the repair as Dr. Wilson indicated, and then we contracted another vendor to continue the research on of the water leak that's there, but the repairs were taken care of.
And I apologize for missing that. I had notes on it too. And I just
Maybe you
didn't-
could,
Thank you.
Dr. Wilson, if you can, give us like the Reader's Digest, super condensed version of the timeline and what actually happened, and.
Sure. Boy.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so, if this is the one thing of it's the heat, right? Yeah. So, the way our heat works, and you probably all understand that, it's through boilers, right? And so you have water.
Hot
and
water, cold water.
Well, yeah, but the water gets heated and runs through the pipes, and the air blows over it, and there's your warm air, right? in our boilers, we were losing an enormous amount of water. So much so that there wasn't enough water to run through the piping in order to be heated or cooled, and therefore we didn't have heat or air conditioner. So what we did in terms of the emergency was to work with Daikin to find a solution to get the water back in the boiler so we could run the heat and we could have the process working, which we did. The challenge with it is why were we so deficient in water? And in there is the challenge that we're still working on. The concern is that we have potentially a leak, or leaks, plural, through our piping. And so we went and walked the whole facility to see where we'd find some water and couldn't. So we contracted out a vendor that does water location or leak testing. And they came out and did their analysis on our trunk.
Slab links.
Well, so again, I'm just telling you the best I know. So the way I understand it is that from our boiler, we have a trunk line that runs out around the whole of the campus, and it circles back into the boiler on the back end. Off the trunk, there are then lines that run to each of the buildings, and they run through the buildings. None of the lines that go to the buildings, it's my understanding, actually go underneath the building. They all run on the outside and over the top. That's a good thing. It's just the underground trunk that runs, and that runs under sidewalks, under our pavement, under our parking lot. They have identified the possibility of several smaller leaks, but not necessarily the kind of leak that would create the deficiency or the deficit in the boiler that caused us not to have the water. So what we're now doing is we're going to talk to that vendor again and see if there are some other suggestions or ideas that he or she may have that would help us kind of pinpoint more specifically where the leak might be. But we also are waiting to get our meters read, which will be the 25th, to do an actual comparison between the utilization of this year versus January this year versus January last year, to see if in fact we had a one-time big leak, or did we ultimately have smaller leaks that have been leaking for a long period of time that ultimately we sprung another leak that tipped it over the threshold so that the amount in the boiler went down below the line that allowed it to fill to the piping. So the long story short, we got the water back in the boiler, but we haven't really sufficiently found where the leak is or where the leaks are, and that's the phase that we're working on right now.
Answer stated and accepted.
Thank you.
Sounds like we needed that life cycle
Absolutely.
analysis.
So that preventative maintenance stuff and all that stuff.
Listen, the life cycle analysis 3 years ago probably would have saved that word salad I just spewed out to you all.
Yeah, well, 7,000 gallons a day, that's a lot of water.
That's a third of a swimming pool.
Okay, so yes, it's a ton of water, and so
Something should be mushy somewhere.
Yes, it should be. Yes, it should
Or
be.
the grass is a lot greener.
Yes, it should be, and that has been the challenge for us, is that now.
Leaking into the sewer.
Yes. that
Could be leaking
Maybe
into
we
the
get
sewer.
one of those NASA satellite thermal imaging things.
Or they said if we could turn everything off. I mean, there's just, listen, it's been an interesting process, but to your point, I heard you mention, I mean, there's possibilities that leak is actually leaking into the sewer, or it's unloading the line into the sewer. It's also possible, like I said, we've had a drip for a long period of time and didn't necessarily recognize it because the fluctuation wasn't changing year over year, even though we were still losing water, until we had this next leak that actually tipped us over to see more specifically what's happening to the water.
Half our parking lot disappears into a
Listen.
sinkhole at some time.
At this point in time, I would be grateful just so I can know what water is. Yeah.
As long as my car's not parked there, I guess. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Well, let's
you.
move along to the concluding items. So we're nearing the end of this process.
Mr.
So we have the staff reports.
Just real quick,
Oh,
just
did
as
I
a
skip
reminder.
something?
Just as a reminder to you all, we have our EVIT Expo this Saturday, 9 to 1. If you've never been to the Expo, I encourage you to come out. I encourage you to bring family and friends. It's an opportunity for you to come and see all of our 42 different programs, both from our Power Campus and Main Campus that we bring on the main campus here. And it really is an excellent opportunity for you to see the work that gets done here every single day. So I encourage you, if you have time Saturday morning, please stop by and please bring family and friends. Also, Tammy has asked me that I think she sent out an email asking if any of you are interested in the State of the State here in Mesa. If you are, please let her know.
It's Tempe, isn't it?
State of the City, I'm sorry, State of the City here in Mesa with Mayor Giles. There's also the East Valley School Board Consortium meeting, which is Monday, and I know that there are some who have responded to that. But the State of the City, Mayor Giles, we also have asked if you're interested in, if you have the availability, please let her know so we can make sure we have seats available for you. That's all I have.
All right. That brings us to calendaring, which you've shared with us. Looks like to me we're up for adjournment. Do we have a motion and a second?
So move.
I'll second.
Second.
Mr. Hart.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I hear no opposition. We're adjourned.
Thank you for tonight.
She did well.